All right, so in this tutorial, we're going to look at how to set variables. So if I click on this, I want to actually have something where I can set my variable. So let me show you how we're going to do that. And if you've been following the tutorials, you've noticed that as I've gone through these, I'm setting variables here. I'm choosing name. I'm choosing avatars. As I go through here, I'm I'm evaluating if modules are complete. So I'm also changing the avatars based on what I did up here. Here I'm collecting trophies. I'm completing a module. Here I'm clicking and counting clicks, and I'm completing a module. Here I'm a risk taker or not, and I'm also collecting fewer trophies, right? So the thing is, as you saw in some of the tutorials that we were going through, every time I want to test something, I've got to publish the entire course and then go through to make sure my variables are working. So I can't see if this is working unless all three of these modules are done, and then I can test those. So that's a pain. Something like this isn't too hard, but when you have a really elaborate course, it's a pain to do that. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll create an extra slide. So let me just go ahead. I'll insert a scene, and this right here will be called our variable slide. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to open up the slide. Let me save this while we're at it. Now I don't have a ton of variables, so I can make it look a little nicer than I might normally do. But what I want to do is think about all the variables that I can set and then can use. So I have avatar, I've got count clicks. Here's a good pointer. I have the dial, but I'm actually not using the dial for anything, so I can get rid of this variable. So it declutters this screen. I have the same thing. I have the slider variable. There's no use count. That means it's not being used anywhere. If I want to see where something's being used, I can click and I can see every place where this particular variable is being used. So slider's not being used. Why let it clutter up my screen? So I'm going to delete that. All right, so I can see I've got avatar, count clicks, the module complete, name. This was the progress meter. We don't really care about that. And the risk taker. So number of trophies. So there's some things I want to be able to change while I'm going through my course. So let's go ahead and do this. So I can do module complete, right? So let's add a button here. And I'm going to say, let's add some text here. So Control T, and we'll say mod 1. Right, just so I know what it is. And here I'm going to insert a reference. So Alt 3, there's a reference to module 1. And so I can see when I click on the button what it is. So I'm just going to duplicate these. And I know I've got 2 more, right? Or this, so okay. So we're going to make this mod 2, and we're going to make this one mod 3, and we're going to change this. So we know this is mod 2 complete, and we know this is mod 3 complete. So that's going to show the value of that current mod. What I'm going to do here is just set this so I can change that value. So what do I want to do? Let's add a trigger here. I want to adjust this. Now these are true false, so this is really simple because I can just, what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the variable. Which variable? Mod 1. And what do I want to do? This is nice with a true false variable. If I know it's false right now and I click on it, I want to make it what it's not. So currently it's false. So I can change it to it's not assignment. So it's not assigned to true, right? So it's false. So when I click on it, it's going to become true. The next time I click on it, it's not assigned to false. So I'm just going to change it to false. So it kind of toggles that. So we're going to toggle that, and you'll see that's what the variable says, toggle variable module 1 complete when the user clicks this. And so I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to select this one and select this one and paste. And I'm going to say on mod button 2, I want to toggle module 2, and button 3 here, I want to toggle module 3. All right. So we've got the true false variable. Let's just copy another one of these buttons here. And, again, it could be, we'll just call this one avatar. here, or actually maybe we know it's avatar. So this one we want to be John. And what we're going to do here is we're going to, I mean, we could put a reference in there. It really doesn't matter. So we're going to reference, and we'll reference the name of the avatar, I guess. And what do we want to do here? When I click on this button, I'm going to adjust variable avatar, and I want to make this equal to the value of John when the user clicks. All right, so I'm going to duplicate this here, and I can make this Maria, and we're just going to come here and we're going to make this equal to Maria. And I want to go and do that for all the variables. So I know I have, I've got avatar, count clicks, that's just a display. So that's a number. We can change, for some reason, dial is still there. We're going to get rid of dial. I must have hit cancel last time, and we're going to get rid of slider, which is probably still here. And we're going to delete that, and we're going to hit OK. Okay, so we have risk taker is a toggle, and we have name, and we have count clicks and trophy, right? Okay, so let's do this. So we have risk taker, which is basically the same as this. So let's just move this down here. We'll say risk, and we'll same thing. We can just put a reference to risk taker in here. Alt 3 and risk taker, and we're going to toggle that. So toggle variable risk taker. And what was the other one? We had two inputs, so let's go ahead and do an input here. So we're going to add a value here, and I can add some text. Let's just drag that over here. Okay, so this is going to be trophy. And so when I click in here, we can add a number, right? So let's go ahead and we're going to set text entry, but we're really not going to set text entry. We're going to set, we used a text entry. Hold on a second. We'll do this as name. All right, this is why you got to pay attention. Okay, so let's name. I can add a name in here. So we're going to set this equal to name when the user types in here, right? The other thing is sometimes you may want to have a name that you just want to make the name a name, right? So let's say you don't want to type, like I want to type in a long name, so I can, auto name, right? So this is just a long, we'll just say long name. So if I want to test to see what happens if I have a long name in that block, right? And so let's say here when I click on the button, what do I want to do? I want to adjust variable. Which variable? The name variable, and I'm going to add a value, and I'm just going to say Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. So that's a really long name. Most people probably won't have one that long, right? And when user clicks that button. So I can either type in a name or I can just automatically add a long name. And then let's go ahead, and we know we have trophy here, and I think the count clicks is the other one. So let's go ahead and do clicks. Okay, so let's add a text entry, or not text, a data entry. So we're going to input, we're going to do number here. So on this one here, we're going to set numeric entry equal to the value of trophy. And then here, we can just duplicate this and drag it down. And we're going to do this one here. We're going to set this equal to count clicks. All right, so that should be all the variables we need, I believe. And it doesn't have to look fancy. I'm going to make the screen, format the background, and make the slide darker, just so, and And let me change this text so it's lighter, just so it looks different. It doesn't really matter, it's just this is a slide that you're only going to go to for testing. Okay, so this is our variable slide. Let me go back to variables. I created a few extras. You can see these numeric. Because I connected them to something different, I don't need those. There's no reference to those. They're not being used anywhere. This text entry is not being used. All right, so that's just a good way. Clean up your variables, hit OK. All right, so now I've got this here. And when I publish my course, I want to have access to this. So I'm going to put this on the player. So what we're going to do is go to player. Open that up here, and the player is right. Here it is. My screen's a little delayed. So the player's right here. I want to add it up here. We already have one called set variables. So I'm going to delete that just so you can see. So we're going to add one here. And what do I want to do here? We'll call this set variables. And top bar right. And what I want to do is show a Lightbox slide. And which slide do I want to show? And that's the one way down here, the variables, when the user clicks. And so now you can see it here. So when I click on that, it'll show that as a Lightbox slide. Now it's also going to be in the menu. So when you're working with the menus, if you're using Lightbox slides and you don't want them visible, you just go into the menu here and take them out. It doesn't delete the slide, it just deletes how the menu is displayed. So we have our set variables. We're going to hit OK. We're going to hit save just to make sure everything's being saved. And then we're going to preview our course, the entire project. And you're going to see where this really comes in handy. Because instead of going through the entire project and having to set everything, I can come in here and say, okay, I want to say that module 1 is already done. I'm going to add a name, and I'm going to, let's just say, we already have 10 trophies, and I want to say there's 25 clicks. We choose John, and you can see the variable here. I guess I didn't need to show that. I'm just adjusting it. And we'll say I am a risk taker. So if I close this, when I go through the course, it's already assigned some values. Now it's actually basically waiting for me to click, but the value is already signed here, and you can see the modules opened up. Now if I say, well, I don't want to go through this, I want to see what happens if module 3 is available to me. So I'm going to make this set to true, and I can close that. And when I replay, or actually I'm going to set these to true here, and come back to my slide here. What did I do? Oh, I see what I did. I jumped out. Okay. I replayed it. Okay, so we're going to set these all complete, and we can set it to Maria, and I can just automatically type in a name. Let's just put some numbers in here. We'll say 10 trophies and 25 clicks. So now when I go to other slides here, we'll click through because this one. So you can see Maria's here. It's already registering that I've completed it because I set all of them true, and I can see what this looks like in here. So it's a nice way to test. I can come in here to the modules, right? So let's say module 3. I want to come in here, and I already have value for trophies. When I hit yes, I can see that it's working. Otherwise, I have to go in. I can't do it at the single slide level, and I have to go in the course and go through the entire course. So having this ability to set your variables is really nice. And here I can just type in a value, right? I don't have to just type in Tom, or I can type in a long one, whatever I want to do. But this is kind of a nice tip, especially if you have a ton of variables. And you can hide that. You can do it at the slide level or put it on layers. It really just depends on what you're doing. But this is a nice kind of bonus tip when you work with a lot of variables and you don't have to go through all of your courses, or you just want to test a single slide but you need to be able to access your variables. So that's just something to keep in mind. So that's basically it. So you've got, I think, 5, 6, 7 tutorials. They go through that full process of working with the slides. And so you've got the demo slide where it's published. You've got your practice slide where there's nothing in it. You can start to do that. So if you want to practice using this, or if you're working on a team and you want to do that together, sometimes it's easier to talk through things. Watch the videos and then work on this. If you have questions, jump in the community. And good luck working on your projects.